Quote number 1. To know what you know and what you do not know, that is true knowledge. This means that knowledge is not only about knowing, it is also about knowing what you don't. For example, if we take the example of an actor, he or she should actually know his or her strengths and weaknesses. He or she should know which method one can act comfortably in, and there are some kind of characters which one can play easily and convincingly. It is practically impossible for one actor to know deeply about all the characters in the world. Similarly, it is not possible to store all the information in the world in your memory. One thing which is important to understand is that we should try to channelize all our energy into knowing stuff which we can practically apply in our life, even if at the smallest possible level. Another thing to learn here is that whatever interests we have, we should try to accumulate knowledge only in that particular domain and not try to go too much out of it, because there is a high probability that it won't help you. Quote number 2. By 3 methods we may learn wisdom. First, by reflection, which is noblest. Second, by imitation, which is easiest. And third, by experience, which is the bitterest. This means that a wise person actually tries to learn in 3 ways. First, he or she learns by reflecting what is happening inside him or her. This consists of understanding what your reality is and making up a mindset which is appropriate to find out the solution to a problem you are facing. This is a moral and admirable way, because you are understanding your reality through thinking for yourself, and you know yourself better than anyone else. The second way is through imitation. In this, a person tries to copy the approach of people who faced a similar problem in the past and became successful in solving it fully. This is actually an easy way, because human beings, by default, try to copy others and very little effort is required in doing this. Thirdly, wise people learn through experience, which means that they practically apply something in their life and learn from both successes and failures. This is the most difficult and challenging but the most effective way to learn, because this is learning which is completely based on practical application of knowledge you have learned. A learning from this is that we should try to learn using all 3 approaches according to the situations of our life. Quote number 3. He who learns but does not think, is lost. He who thinks but does not learn is in great danger. This means that a person who actually makes an effort to learn but does not try to analyze it will remain confused, because he does not know how to practically apply a certain piece of information. On the other hand, someone who is trying to analyze but does not learn is setting himself or herself up for a big failure in life. This type of person will remain stuck in his or her own thoughts and will never make an improvement. If we take an example of business, a person who is trying to learn business from a top-level tech company CEO and not actually analyzing his or her business ideas will not be able to apply the knowledge. That knowledge, even from a top company, will not help the person, because what he or she is doing may have nothing to do with tech. Same is true for a person who is analyzing his or her own business but not trying to learn from an expert. He or she will be at risk, because he or she will not be able to grow and make things better. Quote number 4. We should feel sorrow, but not sink under its oppression. This means that sadness is an emotion which is natural. Many times in our life, we are sad. But we should not allow that sadness to overpower us. We should be aware that we are bigger than all sadnesses that we feel inside. For example, if someone you really loves dies, the grief actually overwhelms you completely and you can't overcome it. But you have to overcome it to move forward in life. Now the real question is how to overcome it. Death is actually the biggest reality of life. So you have to accept reality and move on. One thing to learn is that we should learn to control our emotions and conquer them so that you get out of them as soon as possible. Quote number 5. To see the right and not to do it is cowardice. This means that if we are actually aware that something is right, we should try to do it no matter what we have to go through. This requires a lot of courage and endurance. For example, if you see your friend getting beaten up by a group of people, you must be brave enough to stop them. Being a coward is always the easy way out, because cowards always run away but don't fight back. They are scared of other people and circumstances. Doing the right thing requires a person to work constantly even when conflicts arise. Doing this requires a person to take the hard choices, because this person is genuinely trying to resolve all the issues. These people are not active listeners and they try to avoid learning as much as possible. One thing to learn here is that we should be brave enough to do what seems like right to us and give it our 100%. Quote number 6, everything has beauty, but not everyone sees it. This means that every creation created by the Creator is beautiful if you see it from a beautiful spectrum. There is a very famous saying, beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder. So this means that it is completely up to the watcher if he can see the beauty in everything. Everyone has a different imagination, but only some of the people have the sight to relate to the beauty that is hidden in something. If we take the example of a painting, very few have the taste and the actual ability to see what the beauty of real art is. One thing to learn here is that we should see beauty in everything and everyone so that you can actually understand what real beauty is. Quote number 7, success depends upon previous preparation, and without such preparation there is sure to be failure. This means that success of a person depends on how prepared he or she is. There is another famous quote, if you fail to prepare, you are preparing to fail. If we take the example of business, your preparation plays a huge role. If you really are prepared to launch a new product, or even if you launch a previous product in a new way and you know what benefits and costs it will bring to the company, there is a high probability that you will succeed. If you have a proper plan and well thought out strategy, the chances of failure are minimum. Another thing that minimizes risk factor is the backup plan. One learning from this quote is that we should always be prepared for the worst even if we are at the top of our game in life.